Amazing. All right, friends, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Sovereign Soul podcast. You know me, I'm your host, Jacqueline Hopper. I am so stoked to welcome you to another incredible episode. Let me tell you, my guest today, when you said yes, Jesse, to this interview, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to pick your brain, to just allow the energy from your heart to pour in. I'm so stoked to have you on as a guest and to have you love on the audience that listens to us very faithfully. Introduce yourself to us before we get going.
Jacqueline, the feeling's mutual. When you messaged me and you told me the name of your podcast, it's one of those goosebumps evoking names. So it's just really such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. And I'm excited to see where the conversation goes.
Yes, unscripted, 100%.
Yeah, those are the best. I always laugh at when you have we talked about this before, the pre-rehearsed talking points. It's like going to a cocktail party with your little yellow post-it note saying, I'm going to ask this person this question, this question, this question, this question. We all know that the fun of life, the thrill of life, the cool parts of meeting people come in the organic nature of it when it's unscripted, when you don't know what's going to come. And there's a little bit of risk and trust involved too, right? There's risk in that vulnerability of being willing to ask or being, in a way, exposed that you're going to say something that may not be the perfect pre-rehearsed thing. And the trust in that whomever you're conversing with is going to be somebody who's going to honor the space the same that you'll honor theirs.
Yeah, see what I mean? He didn't even do his intro yet, and I'm already like, tell us about you. Tell us who you are, who you be, and what it's like to be you.
Yeah, so I'm a professional speaker and strategic advisor to some really incredible people all around the world. I've done that for a number of years. I absolutely love it. For most of the last year and a half, I've been on a partial sabbatical. My partner Amanda was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer last spring, and so I paused my everything just to take care of her full time. She's doing incredibly well. The average prognosis with her particular diagnosis is 16 months. She's now going into month 18, and she's doing amazing. So we're very hopeful that we've approached this journey from day one that she'll be an outlier. That's always been the intention. That was always been the focus. We are so unbelievably grateful, but we remain very humble to just how fragile life is. And this is really fun to be able to talk with you, Jacqueline, too, because I'm in this kind of space right now where I'm starting to re-ramp up professionally. And Amanda and I both started to make the commitment that if she's going to be planning to be around for a little bit while longer, we need to start living like she's going to be around a little while longer, but also really keeping a reverence to the severity of her diagnosis. So I'm in this place now where I'm starting to re-engage in some professional things, which is arguably one of my biggest sources of fulfillment. It's definitely very purpose-driven, but then also walking those needs and lines of being a caregiver to Amanda and what that looks like, and also really supporting and empowering her to reacquire some independence, which is an interesting dynamic in of itself, because any of us who have ever been in a relationship know this to be true, even though Disney doesn't advertise it like this because it doesn't really fit the happily ever after motif. But all relationships are, we think they're a relationship with a person, but they're really a relationship with a person based on a set of circumstances. Right? We are relating to this person based off of how we perceive them. When we meet somebody, going back to these introductions, Jacqueline, we talked about, really when we meet somebody, especially if we're intending to meet them in a romantic setting, do we actually meet them as they are? We usually meet the idealized version of them, the version they want us to see. Yes. So it's this best version of self that shows up, and it's only when we start to get comfortable with that we might start to let on that we're not actually that all the time. Yeah. That we smell after we work out, that we go to the bathroom in the mornings, and all those other things that we try to hide.
Yeah.
So when relationships change, especially when they change as dramatically as ours did, we were both very independent people, and Amanda had to give up so much of her independence through treatment, and just because of the deficits that came from surgery and from her disease. In so doing, I really, as I traded in purpose that I got from work and serving others, I started to get purpose from helping and supporting and serving her. So it's been this interesting transition now out of that back to pursuing work things and her getting independence, because I realized, whoa, I'm kind of in this space set moments where I was like, wow, there goes my purpose out the door. And I got to refine or reconnect with something that is fulfilling and meaningful to me beyond just taking care of her.
The thing I love about what you're saying and what spirit, and those watching, but just in case you're new to me and you're coming from Jesse's world, let me just give you a minute. I am a psychic, a spiritual mentor, and a teacher of all things source energy. And communicating with spirit happens all the time for me anymore. It used to be where you'd sit in meditation and you would connect, but now it's just a constant a thing for me. And it is one of the things that literally like prompted me to be brave. Let me be honest, again, with the transparency and the vulnerability of never having it this scripted. When I looked at your profile, right? When I looked at to what you're speaking on, which is so good, I was like, wow, like the Sovereign Souls in season 3, he might be one that just is like, it's still very early in your podcast journey. Look me up in another 2 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, how much am I going to have to pay for him to come on? And like, maybe he's going to ask me for all my stats. And so when we connected, there literally was this space of pause between our spirits just merging, going, oh my God, I love the name of your podcast. It feels so right. And me going, holy cow, I'm so stunned at my bravery to reach out to you and say, hey, will you please come on my podcast? Like, there's just something so divinely present in that type of connection. You and I have never had a conversation. Your name has floated around in some other spaces. And I was just like, who is this man that keeps coming up on my feed? Like, I need to know about him. And so like, this is like so perfect and so beautiful. And I'm also very appreciative to have you here and to have your wisdom. There's so much that you've done. And I think that this is interesting. And like I said, spirit comes forward, I'm not teaching you by any means. We are multi-purposeful beings, that there is a multitude of purposes that we are engaging in, stepping into, that we will take on in our lifetime, just this one lifetime. And it feels so relevant, as I'm sure having done reflection on where you are in this moment now, for you to be amongst some Hollywood icons doing mentorship and coaching, amongst some of the richest, and I mean like wealthy as in dollar signs, people and their worlds. Everyone values, and everyone has come from different walks of life in different aspects and different corners, right? And the shifts and the changes that you are walking with right now with your partner, that adds so much depth to who you are as a human and also as a mentor. The level of compassion that I will speak on your behalf and say that you probably are reaching, not wanting to have to go there to get it, but the level of compassion, empathy, and connection that you are 100% really being thrusted into through this journey with your partner, Amanda, I can only imagine it's not only profound, but it adds such another level of presence that I can feel very clearly in your energy as you sit before me, as you sit on the other end of the screen. And for those of you not watching YouTube, like, you have got to be in this person's energy, because it is just very soothing, very, I am here, let me hold this space. No matter what comes, I've got you, you've got me, we've got this. Like, do you know what I mean? And I can imagine that this has been such a difficult at times walk, but it is adding so much presence and depth to what you are here to offer the world.
Thank you for that. One, just thank you. And two, there's a few things to unpack there. The first one would be is hearing you say there was a hesitation to ask about being on the podcast. It's funny because there have been so many times in the last 6 to 8 months where I've thought, I have this extra time. I wish more people would ask me to be on podcasts right now because I have the time, and usually I don't.
Mm.
Reminder for everybody listening and watching that there's inevitably two voices, right? That comes up. There's that guiding voice of you should ask the question, take the risk, put yourself out there. And then there's that learned voice of, maybe not. And that's going to be fear, doubt, excuses, whatever it is. And it's going to be, at the end of the day, there's that expression, what is it? Which wolf do you feed?
Yes.
Right. Trust in that. Trust in that. Make the ask the person, reach out, connect. The second thing about the empathy and the understanding with people, I had an experience that was really, it's funny to say it's transformative. I think some of our most profound thoughts and moments come in our most vulnerable circumstances. It's why we usually have these aha moments in the shower or sometimes when we're on the toilet.
Yeah.
And I was in this super fancy hotel traveling with a client in Moscow, Russia. And I was on the toilet and I was in a room that had a guest book in it. It was a who's who of who had stayed there. Every single head of state you can imagine, President Obama, President Bush, Tony Blair, every single rock and roll person, movie person. If they had traveled through Russia, they had stayed in that room. So here I am sitting on this toilet thinking, wow, I'm on the same spot that many quite accomplished people have sat. I'm sitting where Oprah has sat. I'm sitting where Obama has sat. I'm sitting where, you go down the list. They've sat here too. And it was a really humanizing moment because just like, we sometimes forget that at the other end, on the other side of it, it's still a human.
Yeah.
Especially in these times that we're in now where there is so much energy and effort put into making divisiveness and in trying to get us to see one another as something other than human, to see each other only as the labels that are being pumped out by different political parties or social media or whatever it is. And really, it's our humanity where it is so incredibly unifying, and it's also the greatest source of empathy. Because now going back to Amanda's diagnosis with cancer, like so many things in life, it does not care if we're rich or poor. It does not care if we live in New York or we live in California. It doesn't care about any of those things. And so when you start to go through, at least for me, when you find yourself in these very human places in life and you have these opportunities, whether it's sitting in the same place that Oprah and Obama sat, or it is sitting at the bedside of Amanda and falling asleep with her, because where I'm literally in that movie scene of sitting in a chair, my head leaning against the bed, she's in the hospital bed holding her hand, she's exhausted from surgery, I'm exhausted because I haven't slept for a week, and you're in the fog of, oh my God, this can't be happening. You realize that the through line through it all is our humanity. It is our humanity. It is our vulnerability. It is our hopes and dreams for the well-being of our friends and family, for the health and love of those we care about the most. It is the desire to see the world, whatever the world means to us, impacted in a better way, to make it better than when we showed up. And I think for many of us, it is that you had said, like, the multi-purpose. We have these multi-purposes. It is for us to find and live out and express that purpose of whatever season of life that we're in. And if we do so, if we honor that, it's kind of like a trail of breadcrumbs that will lead you to whatever is supposed to be next for you.
Yeah.
And whatever comes next, I mean, that's kind of the fun and the adventure of it all. But trust in, there's something just the same as with this journey with Amanda now. We are very clear that we have an opportunity and a responsibility that, because Amanda is doing so well, that there's some purpose in this for us to truly raise awareness, not just about her type of cancer, but cancer as a whole, cancer research, cancer support, mindset and emotional well-being through cancer, all those types of things, to try to help others on their journeys through it. Because I can't imagine, I know how scary and hard this has been for us, and I have all the skill set in the world to navigate it. So I can only imagine how scary and hard and difficult it is for others who don't have a skill set that I have, who do not have the community that we have around us, and also who have not had as smooth of a journey, smooth as you can with the terminal diagnosis as Amanda's had. So we really, when you start to find yourself in these very human, I think, experiences, whether it's, again, in the bathroom or in the hospital with a terminal diagnosis, it just grounds you in what's really real.
Yes.
What really, truly is real. And I think if we can keep coming back there, that's where some of our best growth can come from too.
Let's not go anywhere but there, right? Let's not go anywhere but there. There is a saying that I often reference when I'm working with clients. You can't think your way through a healing, and you can't heal what you refuse to see, right? You have to feel your way through it, and it's interesting because I, like you, have a skill set, and I'm damn good at that skill set when it comes to other people, as I'm sure you are as well. But isn't it exactly what you're saying, that when it comes to us, the skill set, it's almost like we forgot. The hell was I saying? What did I tell the person last week? Like, I had this figured out for them, but like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I think that, I've made peace with the word humble. I'm going to be honest with you. I made peace with the word humble because I never thought of it as a word that I ever wanted in my vocabulary, because per the dictionary, it's a low assessment of oneself. I don't want a low assessment of myself. I'm not going to be humbled through this. And it's beautiful because I'm so fixated on words and I'm so fixated on an experience to define it for myself that I get to go, you know what? I don't have to resonate with that word according to Webster. I can resonate with that word according to what it means and feels like when it moves through me. And so I'm feeling this even more, and I'm so proud of myself for going, I'm going to be brave enough to look at this word in a different way because it still sticks around. To be humble and to be human and to recognize that there is vulnerability in my humanness. I am going to fall. I am going to crack. I am going to be disappointed. And it is going to hurt me at levels that I just don't understand because I'm a spirit in a body having a human experience. And it's hard. Human experience is hard. They say Earth is the hardest classroom to enter into. How you and I found our way in the same hallway, I won't know. Because you and I seem a little involved. Why didn't we skip Earth and just go to the next? You know what I mean? But this is part of this, impact that I am obviously, like you, certain we're here to make, and reaching these levels. I love the fragility of life. And there's something there, they keep bringing it over again, like that life force energy that just is not ever rocked by anything. Not a diagnosis, not a loss of a loved one, not a loss of a job or an identity, like that fragile life force energy that's always present. I know that you're on hiatus right now, on sabbatical, as you say, but when you work and will continue to work with others, what's one way that you know and even have come through all of this to know even deeper the way back home? What is for you a way of navigating that for others and helping others come back home?
It's a fantastic question. Grace, giving ourselves grace. You said about how you can be so brilliant with helping, I'm paraphrasing, but brilliant with helping others, and all of a sudden when it comes to self, it's we sometimes forget that. Again, going back to circumstances of relationships, right? We relate to the person based off a set of circumstances that we've now constructed as a model of that person. It's the same is true for our skill set. Our habit is to deploy it onto the service of others. Or really is that habit to deploy it on the service of self, especially when we're doing it out of a place of purpose, because in so doing, the work of itself is fulfilling enough that we often don't need to use it for self. There's a reason professional athletes, members of the military, law enforcement, they train, they practice. They go, so when you see an NBA player taking a free throw shot, they're not just taking a free throw shot. What they're doing is they are just doing another rep of something they've done a million times already. The only thing that is different is there's some new environmental stimulus. Maybe that guy behind the backboard is wearing blue or the lady over there is wearing a red dress. But part of the practice is blocking that out so you can execute on the shot. When life happens, we haven't really had as much chance to train for it. I had never had an opportunity to train for Amanda getting a terminal cancer diagnosis. I've worked with others with it, and I've walked that path through them. I've mentored others through them. I did a TED Talk around grief and healing. So I'm familiar with it, and I've done courses around it, but to actually have it happen to me, and I've lost a lot of people too, but to actually have it happen to me where I'm the one sitting in the hospital, I'm the one the doctor's coming over and telling me this, I'm the one that's going and seeing her physically react to hearing this horrible news. I'm the one going to the chemo appointments, the radiation appointments. There's not enough, there was no training program for it. And so all the tools, all the strategies in the world, while they've been really helpful navigating it, I still needed to learn to give myself grace for not being perfect at it right away. Yeah. Because there wasn't a blueprint for me with it. There wasn't a formula for it. So now to go back and what would I give that? What would I really start with or empower others with that maybe I wouldn't have done before? It's really leading with grace. Before, the old model, especially with coaching, would be, okay, yes, that happened, and okay, what's the strategy we need to find there? And the strategy is still very important, but so is the strategy of grace, about just sitting back and taking a breath and acknowledging the humanness of it. Parents are going to screw up with their kids. Teachers are going to make the mistakes. Professional athletes are going to miss shots. People who are mediums, you may not get the perfect vision every time, or at least I remember I heard this podcast recently from Lori Lynn. I'm blanking on her last name, but she's written 3 books. One's called Guided, one is called Signs, I think. But she had said something about how she did a reading for a lady one time, and she was wanting to find love, and she said, I see you meeting this man. His name starts with a J. She described him to a T. But the caveat was, you're not going to meet him for another 2 or 3 years. And the lady was disappointed. Yeah. But 2 or 3 years, I want him now. What's the funny thing, though, is that 3 years later, she did meet this guy. They're happily married, et cetera, et cetera. But it wasn't exactly what she wanted right then. So to learn to give ourselves grace. At work, we are not going to get every deal. We're going to have hard conversations with employees that we are not going to get right every time. People who are in leadership positions at work, I talk to my leaders about this all the time. When we do developmental debriefs or any of those types of things like that, we always give time to just say, man, that really sucked. It could have gone better. And just to feel the feeling with it is so important, that we feel feelings. Emotions are our vessel is in very many ways like this trash compactor. My grandma, and she was a Nana, because grandmas were old and she was never going to be a grandma. So Nana had this trash compactor in her home. And the trash compactor was such this cool thing, at least I thought as a kid, because you could take the trash from the kitchen, go put it in the laundry room, put it in the trash compactor, shut the lid, push the button, trash compactor makes a noise that shoves it down, giving you the illusion that there's more space for more trash. And you can keep doing this and keep doing this until one of two things happen. Either number one, you started to have a smell that came through, because even though the trash was getting shoved down and out of sight, what was on the bottom was starting to rot.
Yeah.
Or number two, you had shoved so much stuff in there that it was starting to overflow. The much more effective strategy is to just, while it may take a little bit longer, is to pick up the trash and take it outside and empty it out.
Yeah.
Our emotions are in very many ways the same as that trash compactor. The habit we get into, and the way many of us are taught, because big boys and big girls aren't supposed to cry, is to shove it down. And we keep shoving it down and shoving it down and shoving it down until eventually one of two things happen. Either what's at the bottom starts to rot and starts to permeate through the whole system, or number two, it starts to overflow, which is usually where we start to feel overwhelmed or we feel emotional extremes of either side. Grace is to give ourselves permission to just let ourselves feel it and feel through it, so that we can inevitably empty it out and create space for whatever comes next. It is going to be hard to fill ourselves up the way we all want to be fulfilled if we are carrying around that which we should have let go of or emptied out long ago. And grace is such a beautiful necessary way to begin to allow that to happen, and just to allow ourselves to feel, to allow ourselves to be human, to allow ourselves to err, to allow ourselves to not get it right, to allow ourselves to make mistakes, and just say, that's okay. Let's move
Yeah,
forward.
I love this. I could listen to you all day. This is like free coaching on a podcast. I'm soaking this up, people. I hope you are too. You better have your journals out. I'm telling you. I will know. I will know. I love that. And I love that analogy. Like, that is so, 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 so true. And you know what? Oftentimes, when we do stuff it for long enough, when it pops up, it is not the appropriate time. It comes out in not the best of ways. And so, if you are someone, a lot of my teaching is around self mastery, and really supporting people with mastering the best version that they came here as a spirit to be in human form. And that is absolutely, without doubt, moving through the emotions, the energy that is moving, and it's going to inevitably get stuck somewhere in your energy field or in your physical body if there is something there that it's meant to teach you something. Like, these emotions, they come because they're meant to teach you something, to support you in some way, shape, or form with evolving. And so, as you give yourself that grace and that space to really feel through those things, this is when we start learning how strong we are, how much more confident we are, how much more, necessary we are here in this big world. We are necessary. We aren't just a fluke, and I'm loving all of that. When we chatted prior to our interview, I was talking to you about dead air. And I don't remember how it came up, but I was talking to you about how I used to work for an insurance company way before this gig was my gig. And they would always want you filling the space, filling the space,
Mm.
filling the space, never having any dead air, in any of your conversations with your customers. And I was saying to you, I don't script this stuff. I don't want to know what you want to talk about until that day. And I'm not going to tell you anything that's coming through, because I let spirit have their way with me as I am moving through a podcast interview. So don't worry about the dead air. And we were sharing about that. And it was, you definitely you were feeling what I was trying to say when it came to letting ourselves have that space. And this really feels like what you're saying. Grace is the dead air, but it's not. It's filled with so much energy and presence and knowing. It feels to me, the vision that I have is kind of bending God's ear and just going, you know what, I got to unload this with you, because I think I've been carrying way too much. I think I've been relying on my own source of something when I should be asking the divine to come in and support me with more presence. And the purging it out, the letting it go, the taking the trash out and making more space is absolutely what the divine God source energy wants to fill us with, is that extra love energy presence that is going to just come in and lift us up, get us back on track, getting us the next bout of information that we need, right? Stillness feels different for you these days, does it not?
Yeah, I have for as long as I can remember, I've long desired to be able to have a quiet mind. Growing up, my mind was so busy and so ruthless in my inner dialogue. It was when I think back to, I have some daily practices I do now, and it's been part of how I've given myself grace through this whole journey with Amanda, and they've been really healing for me. And that part of them are about going back and just connecting with that younger part of myself and really nourishing him and giving him the support that I wish he would have had then. And so my inner dialogue was so just, brutal. You're this, you're that, it's all negative stuff, negative. When I first became aware that it didn't have to be that way, because that's the challenge with our inner monologues, right? Is we don't know any different, because that's just what we've become familiar with and used to. So the illusion of it, the idea of it, just seems foreign. It's, I think, part of the reason why we still use phrasing like "you made me feel this way," because we still make other people responsible for how we feel, because our inner monologues reflect in a way, or at least lead us to believe in a way that we are beholden to others and how we're going to feel.
Yep.
When you begin to work at that and to release yourself from that prison, it can be an arduous process because it's scary. And most of us do not want to sit with ourselves and sit with those monologues because because we know nobody outside of us is going to be more ruthless or brutal than we are to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so society affords us many opportunities to fill our life with noise, to not have dead air, so we don't have to deal with that. We got music, we got on demand, you get in the car, you don't have to do anything anymore, it just starts playing stuff. You got more movie channels and shows you can watch in a lifetime. You got digital everything, alarms and notifications popping up like crazy. There is ample opportunity to never have to sit with yourself and to really confront some of those voices. But when you do, the freedom you get from it is so unbelievably blissful because we'll never spend more time with anybody than we will with ourselves. So if you can get to a place where you can enjoy comfortable silence with yourself, it will only enhance you when you're able to enjoy that with other people, because we all know this to be true. As much as we love our friends or family members or people we're in relationships with, we love the conversations, we love the interactions, but one of the things we love most is that we can be so comfortable in those relationships and those dynamics that we can enjoy a comfortable silence. That you can sit there in a moment with them and the moment is perfect as is without anything being spoken. Yep. Because we're simply able to just enjoy their presence. When that's the thing we all want, any of us who have lost somebody, we all probably have heard or know of somebody who has lost somebody, have heard or felt this regret ourselves. I wish I would have. You fill in the blank. I wish I would have spent more time with them. I wish I would have called them. I wish I would have reached out more. I wish I would have said how I felt. It is a tale as old as time, yet we still find ourselves running through that because all of those, at the other side of all those I wish I would have, they're all indicators that we really wish we would have been more present with them when we had the chance to. Or going back to what we had talked about early on with the intention or the feeling, the nudge to reach out, I wish I would have trusted that spirit, God, wink, whatever it was that was nudging me to reach out. So all that has to come with presence. But it's really hard to be present when we're filled with noise. It is really hard to be present in a moment when we live in a world that we do not want dead air space. So we keep pumping it full of stuff, pumping it full of stuff, pumping it full of stuff. I can remember vividly driving on the freeway at about 2 a.m. There was no music on, and all of a sudden I had this awareness of, oh my God, it's quiet in here. It's quiet in my head. I'd been working at it for probably 12 years. And all of a sudden it was quiet. I rarely listen to music anymore when I drive. I never listen to it when I exercise. I seek out more dead air space and quiet time now because the quiet time is where I have a chance to really look within and honestly reflect on what I've personally been experiencing with the result of Amanda's journey or anything too. Not having the career satisfaction I've always enjoyed. Not being able to engage in my community and connection that I normally would. But also a chance to really reflect and think about and decide on what does all this mean?
Yes.
And what do I want to do about it? And I can't do that if I am filling myself with constantly or numbing myself or distracting myself from other things. You don't have to do anything. Your opportunity, our great opportunity, is to just learn to sit with ourselves and to be in the silence and to trust what comes up and to examine self and check with yourself. And what's really cool about this is you can always just ask yourself and say, self, how does this feel? Most of our emotions are really messengers and they keep coming up, especially the ones that seem to precipitate, because we haven't learned the lesson we need to learn to allow ourselves to step away from it or move beyond it. So it keeps coming up and it keeps nudging you. It's kind of like that, it's like kids in the back seat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are you there yet? These emotions are just tugging at your shirt sleeve saying, hey, you got to learn this lesson. You got to learn this lesson. But we can't learn the lesson if we keep running away from it. We can't learn the lesson if we don't sit in the silence first and ask the questions of, well, what is this lesson supposed to be?
Yes. And I'm so grateful that you went there, because my question to you is going to be, when you say quiet time, and oh my gosh, it's quiet up here. That does not mean the absence of thought, because thought still happens. It is just the quality of that thinking, right? The profound pressure that's no longer there with the thoughts that are being shared, and your ability, yes, to lessen the amount of chatter that's there, but there's always thought. Talk to me about, I feel guided to share or to ask you to share about quiet, what it means in stillness. What does stillness, what does it look like to you? What does it taste like to you? What does it feel like to you? Talk to me about that state of being, of stillness, because there's someone listening that is like, I hear you, that sounds fucking fantastic, excuse my French, but how? What does it look like? When I meet stillness, how am I gonna know?
Gosh, that's a great question. It looks different depending on the circumstances, but the feeling is always the same, and the feeling is there's a feeling of right. It just feels right. If I'm in the gym exercising, there is a stillness in that. And it's funny to say stillness as you're moving, whether you're running or lifting weights, but there's a feeling of feeling right. Like, this is just where I need to be. It feels good. I feel like I'm connected to myself. I feel like I'm aware of my body. I feel like I'm connecting to my breath. There's, in professional speaking, there is a moment on the stage when you first really connect with the audience, and all of a sudden there's a trust exchange, and you realize that they have made an agreement that they're going to trust you with their time and their life for the next 30, 45 minutes, whatever that journey is. They are trusting in you to take them someplace. And it usually comes not when I'm talking, or not when I'm making a joke, or not when I'm pointing at one of my slides or anything like that, or when they're asking a question. It comes in the stillness of us all sitting in some sort of universality with it. Or we were talking offline right before we started recording. I had some meetings I was going to attend to yesterday, and we gave our new cat, who she's only 6 months old, some flea medicine, and she was not feeling well. As I was getting ready to get up, she came and laid on my chest. And I thought, I really need to go and do these other things. But I could tell she wasn't feeling good, and she was looking for me for feeling safe and nurtured while she went through what she was going through. Stillness in that moment was saying no to everything else and only saying yes to her. And it's a funny thing to be in that moment and saying, here I am choosing this little 6.5-pound kitty over these other things that are really important: professional pursuits, building community, connection. But the stillness in that moment felt like the best choice for me, the only choice I want to make. What feels right now is to be able to spend this time with her.
Yes.
So it looks different in different areas and different approaches, and I think that's what's beautiful about it, is that it doesn't always have to be the same way. You can be still while you're moving. You can be still while you are with other people. You can be still with yourself. But the feeling of it being right, especially if it feeling almost like home, this is where I need to be, this is where I'm supposed to be right now, it's always the same.
Yes. So much yes. What it is not, my friend, stillness is not, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I gotta finish this, I gotta finish that, I can't forget that, I gotta make sure I remember this. Don't forget the kids, don't do this, don't do that, say this, say that. That's not stillness, people. Stillness is, as he stated, a state of rightness, a state of, other words to use, a state of peace. That also can be looked at as presence. A state of just fully being in the now, where you can experience what's really happening, which is life in this moment, because it's not what happened yesterday. Life's not what's going to happen tomorrow. It's not yet created. But what you have, the only thing that you have, is this right here, right now moment. And the way to root yourself in it, the way to examine or nurture or soak up the most you can from it, is to fully be present in that rightness, in that stillness. When I am teaching clients their psychic abilities, when I'm teaching clients their intuitive abilities, when I'm teaching clients about healing abilities, it is absolutely about getting to that place, because you can't hear yourself if you're going a mile a minute on a 5-lane highway, right? You cannot feel yourself if you are constantly externally focused rather than internally focused. And we can't hold space for others to have a healing experience if we can't really fully ground ourselves in a present moment. So this work is so profound, not just for us as individual expressions of source, but also for us as a collective expression of source, right? It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I agree. It's the collective expression. When last month I had an opportunity to speak to an audience of about 400 people, different walks of life, different backgrounds, different stories, born and raised in different parts of the world. The only thing that they had obviously in common was the industry they were in. So their industry conference, they're all there, but really on the outside, everybody looks different, different accents, different behaviors, so on and so forth. And if we judge people only from that, we only see differences. But again, going back to those moments of stillness where there's this exchange that happens where it's almost unanimous, where the group agrees, okay, we're going to trust you. We're going to go on this journey with you. And it reminds you that these shared connections, they come through these universal themes that are in our humanity. Yes, there's differences, but more than that, there are these commonalities of and it's in our humanness. We all want to go to sleep at night knowing that the people that we love are safe, that they have a roof over their head, that they're going to be able to have food in their bellies. We all have some innate desire of seeing something, our community or world, whatever it is, better, whatever that version is for ourselves. We want to see safe, we want to feel healthy, and even more than that, at the most basic levels, we all want to be seen, we all want to feel like we're enough, we all want to feel like we matter, we all want to feel like we're loved, we want to feel like we belong, we want to be able to contribute, we want to be valued for our contribution. These are human themes, and you are most present to them when you have these moments of community stillness, when you are able to just sit with it. It's, if you've ever been working on a project at work and you're really in that flow, inevitably you're most aware of it when there's that silent exchange between you and your team. Mm-hmm. And you kind of look up at one another and say, wow, we're really gelling here, we're really vibing here. And then after that, not much needs to be said. It's just everybody performs at that level. I remember there was a story about a famous actor who performed on Broadway, and he did this just incredible show, did an encore, another encore, another encore, another encore. And people went backstage, they were celebrating, oh my God, it was the best performance ever. They went back, found him in his dressing room, and he was throwing things over, upset and angry. And they said, my gosh, what are you upset about? You were so brilliant. And he says, I know I was brilliant, but I don't know why. You wonder if that person would have been able to sit in the stillness of it instead of being angry at not finding out why. He would have probably found it much quicker.
Yeah.
He would have been, you're much more capable to review what went into your brilliance when you're sitting with in a space of reviewing, rather than being angry at not knowing why you can't know why you're not figuring out why you were brilliant. Because inevitably the emotion goes to the anger. The emotion goes to, I don't know why, so if I don't know why, how am I going to figure it out?
How am I going to control it?
Yeah. It's only when we get still and quiet that we can actually be better investigators and figure out what it was.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like I told you, people, I warned you all. I could talk about this and with this man forever. I could. I'm going to. Where are we going to find you? Where can people come and sit with you and get so much wisdom from you? Where are you hanging out these days, right now? I know you're working your way back into some engagements and probably taking on new people very soon and all the things, but until that's in full force, or until you're ready to really, really, really put that out into the world, where can we hang out with you? Where can we find you now?
Yeah, I linger in most of the social media areas. I think most of my time is still on Facebook. I like the long-formed conversational piece that Facebook still affords, despite how increasingly difficult it is to sift through the sea of ads and recommended things.
Yes.
But that's my main channel. Otherwise, all the social channels, online, everything else, and I'm fairly responsive to things. So just if you have any questions, just reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
That's amazing. And your website, it's going to be, all these links will be in our show notes, friends. You'll be able to go and really easily grab those. But if you're on the go and you're like, I need it now, what's the website people can go look up so that they
Yeah,
can
it's
get?
just my first and last name, and the website is hopefully going to finally get a much needed facelift in the next 2 to 3 months. We've been doing the dance around it for quite some time, and I just spoke with my web guy a couple weeks ago, and we've both agreed that we can make the time for it now to get it done. So, but it's just my first and last name.com, jessebrisendine.com.
Nice. Amazing. I appreciate you. Before I let you go, though, can you give me your definition of sovereignty?
What's yours? I'd have to think about it. What's yours?
My definition of sovereignty is shifts and changes with every connection because, it is by dictionary the dominion over one's life and one's own experience. My sovereignty right here in this moment is the ability to connect and to have that um, safe container that allows me to express myself fully without comparison, without a need to filter in any way. The sovereignness of my being is the remembrance that my connection to the divine is unmistakable and unbreakable, uninterruptible. And that sovereign beingness is also my ability to ignite like a candle every other flame that I come into connection with.
Mm.
That sovereign, it goes back to what you said. I think I'm going to use your definition of stillness. Sovereignty is that, just that. It's rightness, it's being home.
I love your. What I love about language is that you can take a word and there can be so many different interpretations or expressions of that word. I love your definition, and your being the key thing because it is your definition. That word is your. How you use that word and what it means to you is just that. It's how you use the word and what it means to you. So thank you for sharing it. And it's a beautiful definition. I definitely resonate with it. One of the great human superpowers is vulnerability. I think it's one of the superpowers that we all need to put on display more. In my idealized version of the world, it's all of us walking around like Care Bears, just Care Bears staring with our we're not hiding from what we're feeling, but we're expressing it fully. And in
Yeah.
so doing, we're honoring that from one another, and there's a reverence for that. There's a space for that, but that only comes with us willing to be vulnerable, like true vulnerability, not the vulnerability that we think we're supposed to show. Again, going back to that first state we talked about, not showing up as the version of ourselves we think we're supposed to show up as, or the best version of me, so that you fall in love with the best version of me. Only then do I get to know the real version of you. But it's really showing up fully vulnerable as we are, and I can think of no better way, at least to me, to describe true dominion over self
Yeah.
than to be fully vulnerable in our humanness,
Yes.
to not hide from it, to try to not bury it, to not scoff it, to not shove it down in the trash compactor of life, but to allow it to be fully expressed on stage and to honor what comes up, to honor the journey that we've been on, that others have been on, to learn from one another, to grow together, and then to ultimately combine those shared experiences into making making something that is going to be the betterment for all concerned. Really
Yeah.
truly betterment for all of the souls, both two-legged and four-legged, that are able to inhabit the the planet at this time.
Yeah. 100%. Thank you from the depth of my soul and of my heart. I appreciate very much this exchange. This is amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing everything that is you with every single one of us listening. I appreciate you greatly. My dears, you know what to do now. You have to like, you have to follow, and you need to go find my new best friend, Jesse. in all the places, particularly Facebook, and reach out, say hi, let him know that you heard us here on The Sovereign Soul. Let us know if you have any feedback, because Jesse, I'm sure, will make himself available for any questions that you have. We'll make sure we get them to him so that him and his team can address those if need be. Thank you for joining us for another positive, amazing, wonderful episode of The Sovereign Soul. Until next time, friends. Bye.